Everyone is creative.
A creative life requires
bravery and action,
honesty and hard work.
We're here to support and celebrate.
And encourage you to make the things that you love.
We believe in the power of community.
We believe in giving a damn.
We believe in face-to-face connections.
In learning from others.
In hugs.
And high fives.
We bring together people who are driven by passion and purpose.
Confident they will inspire one another.
and inspire change in neighborhoods and cities around the world.
Everyone.
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 Everyone is welcome.
Closer to the mic. Hi, good morning. You're listening to the soft sounds of Jonathan. Before we begin, we humbly acknowledge, and before we get started, we'd like to acknowledge that this event takes place on the unceded, non-surrendered lands of the Musqueam, Skokomish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. We remember that our settler predecessors stole this place from those who lived in kinship with the land, water, and air for thousands of years. We also recognize that our slides are moving quicker than we expect. We also recognize that our presence here and the history of our ancestors who claimed indigenous land as their own is part of a larger narrative that has contributed to the displacement and enduring challenges faced by indigenous communities. So as part of our commitment to go beyond simple land acknowledgements, we have made a financial donation to Indian Residential School Survivor Society, and we invite you to join in supporting indigenous-led organizations as a way of recognizing our complicity in settler colonialism, its present occupation, and violent legacy, and accepting our responsibility to work actively in support of indigenous sovereignty towards a respectful relationship with those who came before us. And you couldn't ask for a better audience to acknowledge and recognize that when we consider what creativity does and the various venues and mediums we have available to be that power and to bring truth to power. So think about that. So, what an incredible start. Fantastic music, coffee, energy. No matter how silent you are right now, I know that you're bubbling inside, and so am I. So welcome to the 178th monthly edition of Creative Mornings Vancouver. Since I lost my hair, I've been so analog. I found this thing called a comb. Had no idea what it was. Thank you, Mark. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jonathan Strebly, and for those of you that really don't know me, it feels really good to be back on this stage, I have to say. This is fantastic. First, my deepest thanks to my dear friends Mark and Rick and the rest of the incredible volunteers who continue to bring Creative Mornings Vancouver to life. This gathering doesn't happen without heart, hustle, and a whole lot of behind-the-scenes magic, and they bring it every single time. Back in 2010, a small group of us launched the Vancouver chapter of Creative Mornings. We were the 8th chapter in what is now the global movement, and those early days helped set the tone for how community and creativity could come together in cities all around the world. After 10 amazing years, I stepped back to make space for new talent, many of whom are right here shaping this chapter's future, and it's never looked better. Well done, team, for our volunteers. Also, let's be honest, the longer Mark and I kept co-hosting, the more we started to resemble Statler and Waldorf from The Muppet Show. So why am I hosting this edition of Creative Mornings on the theme of punk? Well, this is me. Well, I may have lost my hair, but what I gained was clarity. Turns out genetics just gave my punk ethos a more strategic edge. Back when I had a massive mohawk and was shouting at authority, not many people listened. But now I blend in like an agent from the Matrix, shaking shit up. You gotta get inside and make the wheels turn. I'm channeling that same rebellious energy only now through through advocacy, design leadership, and pushing policy for meaningful change. Because being punk isn't about loudness. It's about impact, and that's what today is all about. So with that, welcome to Creative Mornings Vancouver. Let's kick things off with some real creative disruption. Kudos to all of you for making the effort to be here this morning, and I sincerely hope that you leave today feeling inspired, motivated, and more connected than ever to Vancouver's creative community. We have a tradition of starting off our gatherings by sharing our core values and beliefs to make sure everyone understands the purpose of meaning of this gathering. And usually we'll call someone up to read the Creative Mornings Manifesto, but this might be my last time on stage with some of the shit I'm gonna do, so I'm gonna read it to you today. Everyone is creative. A creative life requires bravery and action, honesty and hard work. We are here to support you, celebrate with you, and encourage you to make the things you love. We believe in the power of community. We believe in giving a damn. We believe in face-to-face connections and learning from others in hugs and high fives. We bring together people who are driven by passion and purpose, confident that they will inspire one another and inspire change in the neighborhoods and cities around the world. And most importantly, everyone is welcome. This is where you clap. But what does everyone is welcome really mean? So recently, we've been reflecting on how language around diversity, equity, and inclusion has been so frequently co-opted, rendered hollow, or blatantly rejected and dismissed in the current socio-political climate. We want to clarify that we gather not just to celebrate creativity, but to honor the diversity of voices that make it possible. In a world where not everyone feels seen or safe, we are committed to making this a space of inclusion, respect, and learning. It's a safe space. We know we won't always get it right, but we promise to keep showing up with humility and heart because creativity needs all of us. So, our theme for June is punk. Hell yeah. Let's talk about punk. Yeah. It was chosen by our Bologna chapter in Italy and illustrated by Cristina Portolano. There was an intro to the theme of punk provided by corporate probably, but it was obviously written by someone who doesn't know shit about it. So if you'll allow me, probably ChatGPT, so if you'll allow me, here's my intro to today's theme of punk. So, while it might conjure up images of loud music, leather jackets, and rebellion, punk is so much more than that. Punk is a mindset, a refusal to accept the status quo, a call to challenge convention, amplify unheard voices, and push forward, especially when it's uncomfortable. At its heart, punk is about creative resistance. It's a spark that says, this system isn't working, let's do something about it. It doesn't wait for permission, it builds something new. It tears down walls and makes room for something better. Punk shows up in the zines and the basement shows, but it also shows up in community, organizing, radical design, grassroots innovation, and speaking truth to power. To be punk is to care so deeply about the world around you that you can't stay silent. You make the noise, you make the art, you make the change. In our creative lives, punk reminds us to create with purpose, not perfection. The DIY spirit of punk isn't a last resort, it's a first response to systems that need shaking. And in our communities, punk is how we show up. It's how we listen, how we act, and how we build a future that's inclusive, just, and just like all of you, deeply human. Welcome to punk. We couldn't ask for a better candidate, icon, or introduction to punk through the lens of Shannon. Shannon Hemmett. Now I know I don't need to read you Shannon Hemmett's bio, you've already seen it, and that's why you got your ticket to take this ride today. It's an absolute delight to introduce someone who truly embodies creative excellence. Shannon is what I'd call a creative polymath, someone who moves fluidly through disciplines with quiet confidence and unmistakable impact. She doesn't just talk the talk, she backs it up. Like those math problems we all dreaded in school, she doesn't just give you the right answer, she shows you the work. I first met Shannon when my studio was looking for someone savvy in digital media and photography. I had hired a good assistant, but when he wasn't available for a key shoot, he recommended a classmate from Langara. Enter Shannon. She rocked her very first day on set, and from that moment, she rose fast. From assistant to studio manager to multimedia designer to senior designer leading the team. Eventually, I just handed her the keys because honestly, I was no longer needed. She's one of the hardest working creatives I've ever had the pleasure of working with. Sharp, bold, and full of that rare mix of style and substance. So punk. And having known Shannon for quite some time, no age shaming here, I've had the chance to learn a couple things that you may not know. She is committed to her craft, very committed. I'll never forget a dinner with one of our biggest hospitality clients. And Shannon, a vegetarian at the time, went from no thanks to give me the foie gras in under 0.6 seconds flat. That's dedication. And here's a friendly warning. Unless you're ready to be humbled, do not challenge her to 80s or 90s music trivia. She will destroy you on things that were happening before she was born. Humbling. It's a true honor to call Shannon a friend, and an even greater honor to welcome her to the stage today. So please join me in giving a huge Creative Mornings Vancouver welcome to the one and only Shannon Hemmett.
Hello. I'm feeling very nervous, but I wonder if you guys want to do a little exercise with me. There's a vocal exercise that we can do that we yell water bottle really loud, and it releases all the tension in our bodies. So we do this on tour before we go on stage sometimes, and it's a really big show. But let's try it. Water bottle! Okay, thanks. So, good morning. Thanks for waking up with me. I'm not normally a morning person, but I've had enough coffee, so I think I'm ready to go. Some of you may recognize this. I'm glad that they fed us today, because this is normally how my morning starts. My name is Shannon, and I'm a musician, a tattooer, and a visual artist. I grew up in Vancouver and just outside in the city in Richmond. I'm a reformed shy girl that found my voice in music, first behind the camera, then as a graphic designer, and eventually at the front of the stage. Today, I lead the dream pop band Leathers and play synth and sing in the acclaimed post-punk band Actors, and my bandmates are here today with me too. You can see Adam just down in the corner, down the little picture down there. So when I found out this month's theme was punk, I was really excited. Not just to talk about a moment in culture, but because punk's DIY principles have always been a part of my creativity. So I've called this Cool Things, after the Sonic Youth song, of course. So we're gonna dive into how the spirit of punk pushes us to create with guts, heart, and without apology. A small PSA before we continue. There might be some swearing. Sorry, punks swear. Let's do a little history lesson with a starter pack of me. Okay, so we've got some iced coffee. Can't do anything without that. We've got lots of cheese and bread. We've got the grilled cheese, macaroni. We've got some tattoos, some photography stuff. We've got the beach down there. Love myself a beach. We have a 1979 Trans Am, which was my family car when I was a kid. My dad bought this car new in 1979, and he had it up until recently. It kind of rusted out, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from. Also down in the right-hand corner, we have all of the brilliant 90s magazines that inspired my graphic design methods today. The dog and cat, though, are not my dog and cat down there. I just included them because I love animals, but I'm going to show you them anyways. Here's Mary. Here is Bob and Dale, the pandemic kittens. And this is Frank. They like to hang out while I make art, so they are my creative familiars in a way. Okay, so let's do a little bit of a background. I come from a very blue-collar family. You might say it's blue-collar as fuck. My grandfather built steam engines, so he's like a real-life steampunk. For real. The women in my family are all nurturers. The men are makers and mechanics, and they all have, greasy hands with, grit under their nails. They're super resourceful, patient and incredibly hardworking people. And so that DIY ethic really runs deep within my veins. I'm an 80s baby and the only girl child among a crowd of boy grandchildren. But here I am looking a little rough for my first photo shoot, but don't worry, I had a brief glow up as a toddler before entering an awkward phase that lasted approximately 30 years. Took me a long time to find my way. But even though I was a shy kid, I've always been curious and adventurous with my interests. In those decades, I tried approximately 1 million things to figure out what I truly wanted from my life. There was some side quests of speed skating, surfing, comic book authoring, short fiction, like all the things, basically, anything you can think of, plus all the graphic stuff too. There was a brief punk panic in the 90s, but my folks were generally pretty cool with me being a little bit weird, which I'm grateful for. They let me be myself. I went to concerts, I dyed my hair pink, I listened to records, and I just poured over all of that album art and the liner notes, and I fell in love with a band from Seattle called Nirvana. After that, I learned to play guitar. My high school had an incredible darkroom program, and I feel so fortunate that I was able to learn how to use cameras and develop film and print images the old school way. I started photographing bands and live shows and really getting involved in the music scene in Richmond. As a teen, photographing shows at the community center and then beyond into bigger shows abroad. After graduation, I studied photography at Langara College, who is our sponsor today. And later I worked on staff at the Georgia Strait and CBC Radio 3 shooting sessions for the bands and musicians that they had in studio. Eventually I moved into graphic design and I worked at a boutique design studio here in Vancouver with our host Jonathan for almost 15 years. You can see the road is winding. It's often not a straight line. Then in 2017, I was ready for a big change, and the universe called. Actually, Jason called. Jason's right over there. My now bandmate and actors literally phoned me at the studio one day and asked if I'd fill in on keyboards for a few shows. Now, I had secretly dreamed of being in a band my entire life, but I was really too shy. I didn't really know what I needed to do to get there, and I was pretty scared. I hadn't really touched an instrument or sang much since I was a teenager, and I spent a winter in hell working at the Gap to buy this keyboard. It was awful. You imagine a shy person working retail as a teen. But I said yes, and what started as a few shows turned into something I never could have imagined. Since then, Actors has taken us on the greatest adventure of our lives. In 8 years, we've logged over 400 shows in 20 countries, and I've got to experience it with my besties. So cool. So we have Jason, Kendall, Adam, and then our photographer, merch tour assistant extraordinaire, Huda, who's over there. And thanks to Kim, too, she runs our fan group on Facebook called The Academy. So all of it started with a yes. So that brings us to the first cool thing I'd like to recommend, which is just say yes, even if you're scared, and especially then. With Actors underway, we began to develop my solo project, Leathers, too. So we released a couple singles, and with just 3 songs in my catalog, I was offered a record deal. That's it. I only had 3 songs, and there was literally no other material, nothing in my back pocket, no other preparation. I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? I remember the fear creeping in. Not only was it to finish an album, but it was a 3-album commitment with 3 songs. And so I was like, how could I possibly do 2 more albums? But I said yes anyways. I was like, sure, let's do it. I said, fuck the fear. I didn't have a master plan, but I was really ready to kind of challenge myself and get to work. So signing the deal gave me a deadline, the encouragement I needed, and a really cool goal to work towards. Here's the record. So saying yes doesn't mean that you're ready, but it means you're brave enough to find out what happens next. So sign that deal. Take the leap. Number 2. DIY or die. So my recommendation is to become your own Swiss Army knife. I've worn many different hats in my creative life, and every one of those skills has been useful in band life. Every project I've touched, even on the side, has become part of this massive toolkit that I can access when we need to get things done. For years, I designed posters, websites, merch, album covers, and made visual identities for others, and then for my own projects too. On the admin side, with studio manager stuff that I did with John, those skills were really transferable to my role as our tour manager and a grant writer too. My band Leathers became a way to create an entire visual and sonic universe. I wrote the songs, I shot the self-portraits, filmed and edited the videos, and designed album art so I could have control over every aspect of the visual language. I even made a lyric zine, fully inspired by my love of 90s music magazines like Raygun and Spin. It's a 60-page zine. You can't imagine how long that took me. Here's another page from the zine. So DIY means rolling up your sleeves and getting to work. It's showing up with the tools you have and figuring it out as you go. Just a sample of some tattooing that I've done on Jason. He's actually got his hand right there. You can see it, for real, in the flesh. And then I've been doing more painting too, so I've taken to painting larger pieces lately. Number 3, superpowers, and it might not be what you think. So singing is kind of magic. It's like Mount Everest level expression. And letting people to hear your real voice is super, super scary. To sing as loud as Troy sings, I admire that so much because that was definitely something that I struggled with. I struggled many years with my confidence as a singer. I love to sing and I felt extremely called to do it, but I was so shy that my body would shut down. My throat and my chest were tight and closing up, and I had no volume in my voice, and I just felt so frustrated and lost. One day, my vocal teacher, Bo, told me something that changed everything. He said, "Your shyness is actually your superpower," and that completely blew my mind. I had never thought of it in that way before. I'd always seen my shyness as this weak aspect of my personality. When I started to embrace that quiet vulnerability and connect with the audience on that level, I finally let go. And the things that you think that are holding you back are actually, your greatest strengths after all. So punk is really just showing up as you are, not in spite of your flaws, but because of them. And I want to share this quote from Kurt Cobain. "Punk rock should mean freedom, liking, accepting anything that you like, playing whatever you want, as sloppy as you want, as long as it's good and it has passion." I like how plainly spoken that is, and it's just so powerful. All right. Next, we have schemers and doers. Every dream needs a blueprint and a hammer. We have the math lady is here. In my experience, I feel there are kind of two creative spirits. We have schemers and we have doers. Schemers are the big picture people. They connect the dots, they make plans and pull the right people together. They're community builders, and they make all these ideas real. Doers are the task slayers. I'm definitely a doer. I'm inbox 0. Give me a list and I will fucking crush that list. I'll be waiting around being like, okay, what do you want me to do next? I'll do it. I spent years doing without scheming, and I kept getting lost in the weeds, but then I met my schemer. He's probably scheming right now, actually. That's Jay. Back in 2015, I had started posting these short clips on Instagram of me singing and playing guitar, and that caught Jason's ear. And, you know, eventually he became my bandmate in Actors. But at that point, he started to scheme a little, not just about me joining the band, but about helping to launch my solo project, too. Our creative partnership grew out of a shared love for the legendary post-punk band Bauhaus, and of course, our heroes, David Bowie, R.I.P., and David Lynch, also R.I.P. Yeah, the Davids. So, you know, we're both dreamers and we're just wired a little bit differently, but together we become like this superhuman creative powerhouse. So find your schemer, find your doer, and make cool things together. Okay, the fifth thing, bloom later. So bloom slow and bloom strong. Okay. I wasn't going to tell you how old I am, but I will. I'm 43. It feels pretty punk to say it out loud to remember people that I'm a 43-year-old woman and thriving. Applause. The music industry is not super kind to women as they age, so I'm such a late bloomer in this industry that, you know, I didn't start touring until I was in my mid-30s. I didn't release my first full-length album until I was 42. So, you know, it doesn't matter. Timing doesn't matter. Just you start when you start. So in a world that is really like glorifies youth and being young and getting started early and kind of figuring everything out early, choosing to grow older on your own terms is actually an act of rebellion. And like, I feel like I'm more myself than I've ever been. And you can be too. Wanted to give a shout out to some of the women in punk who have paved the way and gave a voice to shy girls like me. I'm so grateful for their courage and artistry. I saw someone was wearing a Joan Jett shirt today and she's in there. We have Courtney Love, Annie Lennox, Kim Gordon, Patti Smith, Debbie Harry, Susie Sue. I love this quote from Kim Gordon too. This is a song for all the girls who don't want to be mothers or lovers or bitches or anything. This is called Female Mechanic Now on Duty. So the older I get, I find I'm more fearless, not because I've got it all figured out, but because I've just learned how to live with a little mystery and, you know, the haunting of the unknown. I've stopped needing every answer, and I feel like I really trust myself more. Getting older in public, as I was saying, especially as a woman in the music industry, it takes guts, but it's powerful. You can bloom late, you can bloom again, you can bloom later, and you can bloom louder. Bloom whenever. So the full circle moment for me is that in 2010, when Creative Mornings first launched in Vancouver, I was just a young graphic designer sitting where you are now, dreaming about what I wanted to do in my life. And I wouldn't be here now if without the people who believed in me early on. So I wanted to give a shout out to a few folks who are sitting in this room today for their guidance and support. So we have Johnny Strebley, my design mentor. We have Chris Hold, my tattoo mentor. I didn't get a chance to share my tattoo journey with you so that we stay on schedule here today, but please feel to ask me any questions in the Q&A if you want to hear a little bit more about that. And of course, Jason Corbett, my music partner and bandmate. Please keep in touch. Thank you so much to Mark and the Creative Mornings team for having me today, and thanks for spending your morning with me. I feel like we've only scratched the surface here, so if something created a spark, definitely reach out and say hi. I'm nice, I follow back, you know, all that stuff. I'm at Shannon Hemmett, Leathers Music, Actors the Band, and then I write about the life on tour at my Substack at Daydream Trash, so you can hear of all the horror stories and the wonderful ups and downs of being on tour. Thank you so much. I'd like to leave you with these words. You don't have to be perfect. You don't need permission. You just have to show up and remember that punk isn't a phase, it's a lifelong practice. Thank you.
Shannon Hemmett, everyone. Oh, man. You don't disappoint. And best slides ever so far? Like, wow. All right. So one of our favorite parts is to do like breakout sessions, get together, talk about what you heard, but we're going to bypass that just so we can maintain some timing here. I know some of you need to be out at 10, so you can immediately start following Shannon online and get the t-shirts and increase your actors' discography collection and get that Leathers album that just came out. But what I want you to do is just do a little bit of getting to know each other. So just the people that are beside you, especially if you don't know them, so turn around, maybe look at the opposite row, and let's just take 2 to 3 minutes to introduce yourself, say hello, and maybe give an insight. What did you glean from today that really stood up above anything else? Take 3 minutes, just have a chat, and we'll be right back for our next bit. All right, everyone. Okay, so let's ask, we're not going to ask, are we going to ask some probing questions? Do we have time? Yes. Yeah? Yeah? All right, so we're going to ask our speakers some probing questions. Consent to keep the conversation going. If you are asking a question, please stand, tell us your name, and remember to hold the microphone close to your mouth so everyone can hear you and we can capture it for video. Who's first? Any questions for Shannon? Yes. One up here. Troy! You got it? Okay.
Hi, Troy.
Hi. You're incredible.
Oh, thank you. So are you.
Great fan of the music as well.
Oh, thanks.
What's something that you're very proud of that you don't talk about often that you didn't talk about today?
Oh, my gosh. Oh, that's a tough one. Let me think. I think something that happened recently that's been like such a cool experience is raising my rescue dog, Mary. And Cecily, who's back there too, she is our house sitter. So when we go on tour, she is involved with looking after all of our animals too. So, but yeah, training and like, Mary's my first dog. She was a rescue and also a puppy. So it was like a lot of things. But yeah, I feel quite proud that we're able, like, it takes a village to make her a good dog, but we did it. Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah, there's a song called Mary on the record. So, yeah.
that was a 60-page zine. 1 page for lyrics, 59 pages. Thank you, Mary.
Yes.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you.
Exactly.
Okay. Who else has a question? Oh, you're all so shy. There, Ksenia.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you.
Thank you for the amazing drawing. That's beautiful. Thanks.
It was an honor. My question is, so you're putting yourself out there all the time.
Yeah.
Do you have your own way to come back to yourself after that?
Like sort of like a recharge?
Yes.
Is that what you mean? Yeah.
Yes.
Jay and I like to be like 90s mall rats and wander around the mall. we like to go touch cloth and like try on cool clothes, and we don't always buy anything. Like the salespeople are like, okay, it's time for you to get out of here. But yeah, something about that, like just having fun with like my bandmates and like just recharging in that way. I like to go to the bookstore too. Pulp Fiction on Main is one of my favorite bookstores. They're just having their 25th anniversary this weekend, I think, which is amazing. So go see them. They're having donuts, apparently. Now I've become a spokesperson for Pulp Fiction, but but yeah, I like to go to the bookstore. I like to browse and just kind of just let I don't know, just flip through the pages and let things kind of wash over me, and it recharges my creative vibes.
I love that retail payback. Yeah. A year at the Gap, I'm going to get you retailers and salespeople. Yeah. Okay, we got one over here.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for your speech today.
Yeah, thank you.
I was curious if you had a little bit more to share about overcoming things with your age. I know it's super scary to share, so what you faced and how you dealt with it.
I mean, generally, it's not really an issue until it is an issue. I can sort of, I don't know, maybe I'm in that like sweet spot of age where I can still sort of fly under the radar a little bit. But yeah, I find, I don't know, it can be more judgmental, and sometimes, like, especially if you're signing a record deal, I mean, our record label is amazing, so age wasn't really a factor, but sometimes, you know, they want to work with an artist that has like 20 years ahead of them, so they want to sign like the youngest person possible. So sometimes that can be sort of challenging to navigate that, but something that Jay and I talk about is that it's like so important to believe in what you're doing and to have like good songs. Like songs are the juice that is everything. So if you have good songs and they connect with people, and that sort of transcends all of that kind of superficial stuff.
I wanted to ask about your tattoo work.
Yes, yeah.
I don't exactly know what the question is.
Sure.
But if you could,
I could give you like a little
your tattoo,
rundown.
How you started.
Chris and I know each other from the design world, so we had always like drawn together and hung out and worked on projects together and stuff like that. So we had already had like a long friendship through the arts. And when actors began to tour more, I quit my job at the studio, which was like a big fear. I was like, oh my God, what is going to happen? Am I going to like? I wasn't sure if it was going to work out for me. So we were touring a lot, so it was kind of becoming impossible for me to hold a full-time job. But I was doing a lot of freelance work, and then Chris and I, like I said, we'd always drawn and painted together, and he had offered, you know, I'd always shown interest in tattooing. I have quite a collection, and he had offered to teach me if I was serious about learning, and I said, yeah, of course, like I would love to. So I did a 2-year apprenticeship with Chris at his shop, and then the pandemic happened, and everything kind of went crazy, and I was working at the shop with him for a little while, and then he gave me his blessing to start my own private studio. So I tattoo at a private studio now, but I've been tattooing since 2017.
Amazing. Oh yeah, give it a clap, absolutely. I see you. You'll be the last question. I'll be right there.
Oh, one more thing too. The idea with the tattooing, that it would be something that I could do at home and away. So I've actually done guest spots in other cities when we've been on tour. Sometimes it's with tour it's difficult to fit things in because our schedule is so tight. But if we have days off, like we had days off in Berlin, so I was able to tattoo in Berlin. So that's been fun too.
Featured guest all around the world, and also a callback to Langara again, because Chris Hold and I were, he was one of my instructors at the electronic media design program at Langara. And also, this should have been one of those stand-up questions. Don't stand up. How many of you have a piece by Shannon?
Yeah, a few people here are tattooed.
There's a lot of skin here for you, Shannon.
Hi, Shannon.
Hi.
Amazing presentation.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks.
My question is, how do you balance the line between forging your own path and also drawing inspiration from other people, leaning on community? I see that you have cultivated such a unique, just path, and you also draw from others and, you know, kind of
For sure.
experiences. So could you speak a bit about that?
Yeah, I think for me, like everything that inspires me, like it becomes this kind of like stew of like just like creativity. I talked about a bit about it in my interview that I did for Creative Mornings, and that like I shared it. It's like a little coffin, because I'm goth. So I have this little coffin that I put all this stuff in. You know, there's like David Lynch films in there. There's like some Depeche Mode records in there. There's like the Eurythmics are in there too. There's like some like Picasso in there. You know, there's like tons of different stuff in there, and it all kind of gets mixed around. And like the things I'm creating are kind of informed by that. I try not to like pick too specifically, but it all kind of informs what kind of comes out creatively.
That's fantastic. Who is it doing? So Joshua and I met for the first time today, and since I remembered your name, please go ahead.
Hi, Shannon.
Hi.
Thank you for that. Firstly, I need to say that you remind us of Trinity from The Matrix.
Oh, thank you. You know, actually, we were on tour in Germany, and someone yelled at me, "Trinity!"
There we go. So I'm not the only one then. All right, and now here's my question. How different is it from 2010 when you were a graphic designer, sat here watching speakers, to now being up there?
Yeah, it's, I mean, the world has gone through a lot of changes. It's like, it's kind of a shit show right now. It's like, I had a slide, but it didn't end up being fit in, but it was the flaming Elmo, the Helmo, with like, we're fucked. So it's like, we're in a very different world, obviously. I think like, I don't know, in some ways it's harder than ever to be a creative, but in some ways it's also easier than ever. Like the barriers to have our music heard is, you know, diminished with Spotify. I mean, Spotify gets a lot of flack for not paying the artists as much, but I mean, actors' fan base like blossom because of a service like Spotify. So, and in terms of graphic design, for me, like I went to school for photography. I did the two-year commercial photography program at Langara, which was specifically like darkroom photography education. And so it's very different now. I mean, we had one digital camera in the department when I was at school, and you had to like sign like a waiver, like a $10,000 waiver. To make it, and like I think it was like a 2-megapixel camera or something. That's all the technology has like evolved. It's pretty amazing. So photography has really changed. I'm still like very passionate about photography, but I have to do it in a more personal way with my other pursuits, because it didn't end up being like a full-time venture for me. But the way I'm allowed to weave design into music and other creative aspects of my life is, I love it. It's great.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thanks, Johnny.
Thank you for your inspiration, your sharing. Yes, everyone. Shannon Hemmett, everyone.